will summon him. I'm still upside there, upside. Me, but still is side, so we'll have to get him to come too. Okay, committee members, welcome to the second session of the first day. Unplug and move, you may reconvene the hearings, and second, you may begin. The move second, okay, good. Thank you. I think first on the list is Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet Information and Communication Technology within Media Unit. Mr. Ivan Pomelio, Chief Secretary, is he here? Secretariat? Okay. This committee also summoned the Chief Secretary of the Department of Prime Minister to be present tomorrow morning. He represents a very important office. The Office of the Prime Minister is leading all the agency in disseminating information for the government. So any policy decision, any development issues, decision must be conveyed from the Office of the Prime Minister. And the Chief Secretary is responsible for that, and the committee summoned him to be present tomorrow morning for a hearing. Thank you. Okay, let's move to the next agency on the line is Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, Police Force, and Cybercrime. Okay, the Deputy Commissioner, Specialist Operations, Mr. Donald Yamasombi. Thank you, please. Take the witness stand. Thank you, Mr. Yamasombi. You can introduce yourself, and I understand the Royal Public Constabulary has set a rank and file. You can also say that, and then I believe you have a copy of our invitation, which have 4 terms of reference. You can give a verbal statement on that, and then if you have a written submission with regard to that, you can also present to, and the due date for that is July, end of July. So please do your opening statement and introduction.
Thank you, Chairman, and
sorry.
Thank you, Chairman and panel. My name is Donald Yamasombi. I am one of the 4 Deputy Commissioners of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary under our Police Commissioner, David Manning. I am being appointed by the Commissioner, David Manning, to represent the RPNGC in this forum this afternoon. I have prepared a short brief and I think the best thing for me to do this afternoon is maybe I go through the brief that I've prepared, and if you have questions, you can ask and we'll elaborate further on it. All right.
Continue.
Thank you, sir. Like I said, I am being appointed by the Police Commissioner to represent the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary in this parliamentary inquiry on the role of media and its impact in our country. However, I'll be presenting my views only, which may not necessarily be the collective view of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary as an organization. In my experience, I have served the people of Papua New Guinea in the last 28 years as a police officer. So far as the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary is concerned, media plays a very vital role in our communities. The dissemination of information, that timely and accurate information is key to dispel fear and anxiety in times of uncertainty in our country. Well, in good times, media messaging to drive awareness programs can be informative and educational at the same time at the targeted audience across our country. Apart from the mainstream media and audio media, the 10th of January 2024, the riots that we heard in Port Moresby taught us some very good lessons on how social media can shape and influence the way communities can react to certain contents. Social media is really a challenge for law enforcement agencies when it comes to ascertaining the truth in some contents, as the people generating these contents have an agenda when generating it. So for this afternoon, I will briefly try to expound on 3 areas I think the media industry should address. The first one is the impact of misinformation. Though Papua New Guinea enjoys the freedom of expression and publication as stipulated under Section 46 of our national constitution, which is also a qualified right for every Papua New Guinean, the accuracy of information must be ascertained by those projecting the information before it is released. As a democratic country, Papua New Guinea enjoys media freedom, and through that, our people have used media to advance knowledge and contribute meaningfully to the economic growth of our country. On the contrary, what is disheartening is misinformation that is being circulated. I have had experiences where certain print media reports in the daily papers had to be corrected at times. The misreporting by journalists may have been for the fact that I should think the journalist is reporting on behalf of someone else without actually attending the media conferences being held, or the journalist is writing a script, putting his or her own words, changing the context of the story. Or even the grammatical pronunciation and spelling of words not captured properly, or that is being misunderstood at a time of media conferences. Journalists not understanding the organizational command structures of organizations and thus failing to verify reports before releasing them. And that is very, very important for us in disciplined organizations like the police. We have command structures where junior ranks should not be interviewed at certain point in time on very sensitive issues. Those reports must be verified and they should be consulting with senior officers of the organization. Or journalists interviewing, like I said, junior ranking officers on issues they may have little knowledge and so releasing a misleading report. So misinformation has very high chances of creating discontent amongst persons and within communities that has potential to create conflicts. In government agencies or entities like the RPNGC, it is important that before an article is published, the information must be verified with a senior ranking officer to ascertain its truthfulness and in accordance with the standards of the organization. The senior police officers are accountable to the daily function of the office they hold and the media releases they make. So the people in the organization making media releases have a responsibility and are accountable to what is disseminated. Misinformation can create fear and anxiety in the communities. Another important point under misinformation is the pronunciation of words. In audio digital platforms, journalism students must be encouraged to spell and pronounce words properly so that when they write or speak, the true meaning of the words in the sentences are not distorted. Misunderstanding a word distorts the whole messaging. That's one point I thought is important. The second point is fake news and social media platforms. Whilst the print and audio media platforms that are formally registered will try to maintain the integrity in their messaging, social media platforms have a lot to be decided in the manner in which people circulate unfounded messages or articles. The police, through its cybercrime unit, have prosecuted a number of people for the offense of cyber harassment in the last couple of years. And related complaints on publications and messaging on this platform is still on the rise. PNG does have a Cyber Crimes Act 2016. The legislation came about to protect or safeguard public interest and the general order in society because people were abusing media platforms. A person may be issue motivated to generate propagandas, to defame or politicize issues just to get attention. People have got to take responsibility as they try to avenge their frustration on another person. They actually are harming the reputation of another person. What they portray on that other person can be something totally untrue and fabricated. So fake news can be intentionally constructed by someone with the intention to deceive, create anxiety, fear, or disharmony between persons within the communities. So that social media platform is really unregulated, and some form of regulation must be established to control the circulation of unfounded and misleading messaging and articles in our country. A mechanism to regulate and pull down articles intended to cause harassment to other person or entity must be considered in our country. And I say this with my experience in the January 10 incident in Port Moresby. There was a lot of anxiety amongst people when law enforcement agencies were trying their best to dish out comforting messaging. It did not help when people were still posting things that were creating fear and anxiety in the communities. My last and final point is investigative reporting. Media institutions and journalists play that vital role in getting vital information, whether in business, politics, weather forecast, sports, science, or crime story, to people who live in other parts of the country or the world. Readers or viewers are always eager to read exciting stories, and so the facts contained in these stories and articles must be accurate. Journalists must be intuitively prepared in their line of questioning to extract factual information from their viewers or interviewees. Even when reporting on classified information or sensitive police operations, reporters must do background checks to understand the reasoning of each story so it is released in a correct way to the public, especially in matters of national interest and matters that can affect the standing of another person or business entity. Investigative reporting is very, very important. Those are three points that I thought were important. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Yamasumi. We will ask you some questions, but we require that submission. It's a very good from a police point of view. It's a very good submission which we can take on board. If we need further information or clarification, we will require you to provide also with the submission. Committee member, you have any questions you wish to ask? I can go first. We go first. Okay. You raised a very good point, and you mentioned about the standards of journalism, and I think that's one of the main point of our inquiry. One of the four requirements of, 4 terms of reference is about the standards and standards of journalism in this country, and you mentioned a very good point. I just want to ask you about because you've been in the police force for some time, and over these years you have some experience in journalism and reporting and all this. Since first you started form and the way you receive the standards of news, and now how do you observe it? Has the standard increased or dropped, or has it remained the same?
Thank you, Chair. I started off my policing career way back in 1996 as a cadet officer at the Bomana Police College. And I should think in those days, the media platforms that we had were basically audio and print media. And the level of reporting in those days were very efficient. I think I mentioned in my briefing this afternoon about pronunciation of words and how journalists portray themselves. I think that's something that in today's journalism and reporting, that's something that needs to be looked into seriously.
Okay, thank you. We also receive some feedback from journalists across outside of this inquiry that they were sometimes threatened by the police officers. Do you also get such reports from them?
I would say journalists don't report directly to us because we have an internal affairs directorate that deals with any issues of our personnel harassing media personnel, though it be any other citizens of the country. In my line of duty, I have not come across that, but I do work alongside, as well as my other senior officers, work alongside well with journalists. And we also have a media unit that coordinates if we have media conferences for journalists to attend media conferences.
Oh, that's good. Okay, in that media unit that you have, how often do you, in terms of case of the big crime issues and all this, how often do you, how regular or often do you communicate with the industry, that particular unit, to disseminate information? Do you have a monthly routine or weekly routine that you do to release press releases to the media industry?
Thank you, sir. With police reports on crime in the country, sometimes the journalists, they are always on our backs. So they call either myself directly or other senior officers, including the police commissioner, for incidents that are being investigated, for them to be reported. I think we have a cordial relationship in that regard. From the media unit that we have, they basically report on issues that comes out from the police commissioner's office, as well as other senior officers, if they are of national significance.
If you see a misinformation from the media, how do you approach it? How do you get to correct that misinformation?
Thank you. I think I mentioned it in my briefing that I did have an experience whereby there was a misreporting in, I think, a couple of releases that we did at the police headquarters. I called up the industry's editor-in-chief and advised him that that reporting was misquoted and has been done wrongly, so if it can be corrected.
Do they follow through and correct those misreporting?
I think in the 3 incidents I should remember, they probably did only on 1.
So not often they correct their misinformation. Okay. The other point of my question will be in terms of cybercrime. When the cybercrime operates under your department.
Yes, it's structured in a way that it sits within the crimes division of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and comes under the wing that I look after.
So what areas? Let's look at social. Basically, it is social media. So what areas in the cybercrime that and what sections or divisions you have in cybercrime unit?
I think cybercrime, I don't have that many investigators. I only have about a handful of them. They're located down at the 7 Mile police station. The best thing that we could do is to work with other agencies, line agencies that are key in monitoring and, there are some facilities that we are not really, we cannot really access, but working alongside these agencies makes it possible for us to investigate these cases. But in cybercrime, the main cases that we work, our investigators are dealing with on harassment cases.
Harassment?
Harassment cases.
Give an instance of a harassment case.
So a harassment case can be like, someone is posting something and you feel intimidated or harassed. It's classified as harassment. So it can be in terms of defaming someone, swearing at someone, or posting articles targeted at that particular person that, degrades his standing.
Are you successful in prosecuting those harassment cases?
Let me say, about a third of them have gone through.
Okay. What do you think how do you think, do you need to change the act to make sure that all of them go through, or is there some resource constraint, or what constrain you to be 100% successful? Or the reporting is not right?
I think the key thing in cybercrime is it's an emerging crime. And a lot of the elements to prove an offense in terms of cyber are yet to be explored or still being explored. So in terms of how you classify a complaint and think that whether or not it's harassment in terms of someone swearing at someone or defaming that one person, or intimidating him or her in one way in their standing in the community or in the business that they are doing. It really comes back to the investigator trying to make that judgment before he says, I will charge you for this offense. So, and awareness is a key component in that particular field and in that legislation, I should think.
Okay, just a question. One, if there is a private conversation between someone, and the other party bring that conversation to public, is it which end is the cybercrime?
If it is a conversation and someone brings that conversation to public, unless that conversation did cause harm to someone and that person is aggrieved, it has to be proven through, like I said, the elements, what the nature of the complaint would be. Then we would try to establish if there are elements that can prove that he is aggrieved by what has been said or done to him.
So it can be both party.
It can be any party.
It can be any party. Thank you. You mentioned a bit about investigative reporting. How do you see the standard of investigating reporting in media, in terms of media industry in PNG? Are we doing enough media investigative reporting?
I should think that PNG is fast growing in terms of like in all sectors. So if an incident is to be reported or a matter is being reported on the media platforms, factual information must be portrayed. Like for me, it will be in the field of investigations. There has been major cases which were being investigated and prosecuted. These are cases of national interest. If they are to be reported, factual information must be reported, not on matters that are reported now and you put something from years that have gone by into the same story. So to get your facts right, each and every story that is being reported must be on the facts to that particular matter.
Okay, that's very interesting point. There are a couple of deaths over the years and which has been reported in the media. And we have not seen the story after that. And I think the nation needs an update on some of the serious deaths that have been, especially to the leaders of this country. Is there any way, how do you give an update to the people of Papua New Guinea on those that have been happening? Are the media coming to you to give this information, or are you at any point the police department is supposed to report to the country on the status of those investigations?
Thank you, sir. I think in the interest of, let me put it this way, a police job is not really in the interest of disseminating that information for public consumption. Police job is basically in the interest of serving justice. So if the public is interested in a particular story or a particular incident, it can be the media as well, they can follow up with the police to see where we are going and how far we have gone on particular cases.
Which they will have to go to the media unit of the police to source that information, or they will have to ask the investigation officer, or whom should they go to see for those information, update of the case?
It will be through the office of the commissioner.
Through the office of the
Through
commissioner.
the office of the commissioner. And then he can then see who actually investigated the cases and then get on his deputies to provide the report as to the status of that matter.
Is there been any requests from the media or from the citizens for those updates for those cases? Have you received any formal requests for updates or thing from the media or from the citizens?
So with some of the cases that we've been dealing with in the last couple of years, there are media journalists that are interested and are following up on, and we have that working relationship in terms of them trying to check on us where we are at, and most of these cases are still in court, whilst others have been dispensed of, and we give them the progress.
Thank you. January 10, Wednesday, January 10. Now, do you think there's media freedom in this country?
I think there is a lot of freedom in this country.
A lot of media freedom. Do you think that's the cause of January 10? What do you think caused January 10 to escalate?
I think, like in my brief, as I've stated, misinformation and fake news and the use of social media is one aspect that we were incapacitated, meaning we did not have the ability to contain. And what was posted was going out like wildfire, that we could do nothing.
Do you think our social media should be regulated in terms of national security?
I, for one, strongly believe it should be regulated. Certain content that is being published should be restricted, though, like Section 46 of the Constitution says we have that freedom, which is a qualified right to freedom of speech and expression. It must be regulated for the interest of the rest of the citizens of the country.
So it has to reach a certain level for it to be regulated, like national security.
In terms of national security, if we have a mechanism in place, then I'd like to see like a body that can actually convene at any one time, so that agencies who have interest in a particular content can, put in the request to say, can you look at this content? I think this content is not proper, not good for the community, and they can either pull it down or assist us to identify who is posting this content. Because many a times people whom we don't know are posting these things, and it makes it difficult to identify persons.
Thank you. Just one, in terms of January 10, if somehow they disconnect internet, do you believe that, do you think that it will stop that escalation? If they disconnect internet?
I think disconnecting internet would not be a good thing, because it can also sabotage the network that we are using in terms of us trying to transmit the awareness and safety precautionary messaging to the public. But some kind of control in terms of, like the service providers can come on board and say, well, if that messaging is being used on that particular platform, if they can quickly come on board and say, okay, we'll take measures to either remove it or identify the person and hand him over.
Thank you. I have some questions, but I would like to give an opportunity to other members.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner, for your time. I think everything you covered already in your speech. I'll just go straight to the investigative reporting or journalism, which I'd like to talk about, but my colleague here has already covered most of the thing. But anyways, do you think the investigative journalism is, do you support the investigative journalism or reporting in this country, especially with the media agencies here in, like, say, NBC, MTV? Do you support the investigative reporting?
So I support 100% investigative reporting.
Thank you. Also, if in the instance where they, they dig into something deep, and if it comes back and bite them, do you think the police force should step in and provide security to that particular individual in that organization who is conducting the investigation?
I think the police force of Papua New Guinea belongs to the people of Papua New Guinea and should provide that support to each and every one.
Thank you. I think everything has been covered already with my colleague. Just another question regarding the database of this country. Database is actually essential in any country. Do you think working with companies like telecommunication companies or like the NID or NRI, you need information to have a database, right? So do you think working with those companies, the organizations will boost the operations of the police force in terms of misinformation and disinformation?
I think working with all media companies is very, very important. The one very thing that is crucial is the security of that information, landing in wrong hands and going out the wrong outlet.
Thank you. Well, I think database is very important. In this country, I think we have we don't have any correct data of the census, and I believe that if we have those correct number of people living in this country, the citizens, and we have a correct, we have a database in the police force linking all the departments of the government, going through the SOEs also. As for me, I believe it will really boost your operations. So yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Committee member?
To take especially take this opportunity to thank work of the police, especially in Papua New Guinea. It's not that easy, especially to deal with a human being who have been, go with a different level of reaction, behavior of the human being, and attitude and character and all that in the field, especially with the big population, with the big crowd. The police have got to handle it in their responsibility. And I thank you so much, especially. I think one of the areas last time was this 10th of January is came about is a big challenge for our police, and I think you were able to handle it as a police. Start from the top level. I want to say to you and on behalf of the committee and the government, especially this committee, for your work at that time. And I think it's not easy to deal with a human being with different character and behavior, especially when it is misinformed or sensationalize the feelings of the person or the group or organization. It's not easy, and many times you got in between those kind of situations in your work in the country. I think that is so much. But just I think a lot of questions, and Chairman they ask about you already the questions I was thinking of. But how do you give your side of view maybe towards the media, and the news reporters from the police, especially? You can say maybe you may not have opportunity to say something to them, but at this point in time, maybe you can say some what could media could support the work of the police in the country through their reporting or dissemination of information to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think, like I said earlier, media plays a very vital role. Without media, we cannot reach the entire country, and we cannot get the messaging that we would like out to the entire community. Like like in times of disaster, or in times of when we have incidents, who would want to see a blind person walking down the road and getting him or herself into that problem? Getting that messaging in a very timely manner to them to avoid such disasters or incidents is very, very crucial. And I think we have a very vibrant media industry in the country, but I should think that we have certain mechanisms in place to restrict and control those that will want to abuse what we have for all the good reasons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Deputy Commissioner, thank you for your time attending to this inquiry. Just one or two questions in relation to the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary's activities or plans in terms of your activities to control public dissemination of misinformation and disinformation. Do you have any activities through your media unit or programs to establish that awareness or do that awareness?
So I think it is not the intention of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary to infringe on people's rights and control media in the country. But the events of January the 10th has taught us big lessons. Given the magnitude of destruction that happened in that particular incident, actually shows us that if we don't control and restrict the content that is disseminated, at some point in time can cost very, very dearly.
Deputy, you raised very important points, and I think the committee, through the chairman, we look forward to those recommendations that you will make. My final question is, are you involved in some forums or board whereby you are able to share this information, or an association? Example, the Media Council. Are you involved in any way in that entity to share your thoughts and express those thoughts? Or this is the first time you are sharing these points to this committee?
Thank you, sir. This is the first time that I'm raising these points, given the experiences that I've gone through and given this opportunity to come before you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Commissioner, this is a question from a young journalist. Now, if he is threatened by a police, who shall he communicate to report that he is being threatened when he reports on a news article? What's the process so that he knows that he is not fearful of his life and he can continue report without fear and favor? Is there protection in the police that, give him that assurance that media is free? There is freedom of media in this country, so he can report without fear and favor, and protection from harassment from police for reporting.
Thank you, sir. In all provinces of the country, at all police stations, we have what we call an internal investigation unit. If anyone is aggrieved by any actions of the police, that's the unit that they can lodge a complaint to, or otherwise they can write to the police commissioner's office expressing that incident, and we can get the internal affairs investigators to look into the conduct of our personnel.
Sometimes the internal investigation, my case, for instance, not related to media, but when we report poor disciplinary uses to the police force, sometimes it's not being acted upon. Why is that? For police officers, we report to the your internal affairs, but it's not being processed quickly through the system. If this case for a media journalist being arrested, and if they go through that process, the redress is not coming quickly.
All right, thank you. Yes, there has been some cases whereby internal affairs are investigating and the aggrieved parties do not get the kind of outcome that they are looking forward to. If they are still agreed by it, you know, like I said earlier, in the organization like the police, we have a structure, command structure. So if that internal affairs investigators are not doing their job well to the expectation, then the next level to which they have to elevate is through the police station commander or the PPC and to the divisional commander before it reaches the headquarters. The headquarters is the last place that it can come to. But I should think if you just leave it at that point, then no one, you know, in Papua New Guinea, everyone is related to everyone. Sometimes human nature that policemen might not want to dwell on the matter reported to him. So if you elevate that to the next officer in command, then he ensures that that complaint is attended to.
Do you think that journalists should use the media to publish that, expose that slowness or the delay in justice? Because
thank you. I think that has been done before. I mean, he or she has that right or that privilege to do that. But in the interest of getting that particular complaint attended to, then that's the process. If that junior officer is not doing his or her job, then the next person to attend to that would be the officer above him or her.
thank you. This is just to stress the point that we have three arms of government, and we consider media as the fourth estate, the fourth arm of the government. So the media should keep all three arms of government accountable. You agree with that?
I agree. To keep checks and balance. But if they report on something that does not attract the attention, then that institution is not doing enough. So in order to get that complaint looked into and the matter addressed, I think there has been some cases whereby a lot of media reporting has been done on certain issues, but there is no result coming out of the media reporting. So in order to report something and get a result, it's better to elevate it so that persons along that command chain get you get their attention to look into that matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. We are privileged to have you in place. There will be a final, after the all inquiries, there will be a final inquiries. We will be selective on who we should do a final inquiry on. So based on your submissions. So we would like you to provide that submission. If we have some more questions, we'll also ask, and you can provide so that give the police perspective on the impact and roles of media in this country. Thank you. Any more questions so we can close off the... But thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the line is NRI, but they send their apologies. They will come tomorrow. I think we have a member of NRI here, but they can come tomorrow. We acknowledge Wilson Thompson, but we receive a formal apology from the director, so you guys can come tomorrow. Next on the line is Transparency International, PNG, Mr. Peter IC, Board Chairman, or any rep from the Transparency International? They should be the one providing media freedom in this country. Why are they not here? Parliament Secretary Secretariat, do we have the powers to summon them? Huh? Okay, I understand that we have the powers to summon the executive government, but I don't know those outside the executive government. You'll contact them again. Please contact them again and get them to you because it is important. And there's some, I think there's some information we need to get it out of them. Okay, the next out of line is Mr. Dominic Kakas, founding member of the PNG Media Workers Association. Is here? No, who is Anderson? Oh, no, I think it's good that if we, I need direction, please. Sorry, you need direction first, Lord. Secretariat, Lord. We have time.
Sorry?
Some we have time, so we can slot at this one who is scheduled for tomorrow.
You can come now.
You can come now.
Yeah,
So we continue with the lineup
Yeah.
tomorrow.
that's right.
Okay, we will continue to the next day. So we understand that one of the witness tomorrow is here, Mr. Neville Choi, President of the Papua New Guinea Media Council. If you can take the stand, and if you are ready, you can take the stand now. If you are not ready, we can do it tomorrow. You are scheduled for tomorrow. Okay, you collect some information already, yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. So we can do it tomorrow. Committee member, I think there is no further witnesses for the hearing, so we can adjourn to tomorrow 9 o'clock. All agree?
Yes.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. Good afternoon, Libla.